If there's one thing that I'm asked the most is how do I homeschool while working a full-time job? And to be honest, it's not always easy, but it's 100% possible. I'm Maria, a homeschooling mom who also works a full-time job, and I'm on my entrepreneur journey. Today, I'm going to share exactly how I structure my day, time-saving hacks that I use, and also the mind shift I had to do in order to achieve this. So let's get into it. Before we get into the routines that I use and the schedules, let's get into the reason why this even came about in the first place. Homeschooling was never on my agenda. This was never something I was supposed to do. It's just something that ended up happening. So when COVID hit, my son was in daycare. The plane. COVID hit, my son was in daycare, and I was working a regular traditional job where I actually went into the office. And as we all know, during COVID, there were so many regulations, and if somebody got sick, the whole place was shut down. And this happened so often that I was calling out almost weekly. So after I would come back to work, I would notice that people weren't always the happiest with me. Even though they wouldn't say it, I could just always tell by their expressions. So that's really when I decided I was going to work from home. And then that's when thankfully I ended up applying for a work from home job, and it kind of like fell in my lap, but that's a story for another time. And so then I started my work from home job, and then we were just so undecided on what we were going to do, as my son was at the time 4 years old, and we decided to homeschool. And I was freaking out because I really didn't know how in the world I was going to manage working a new full-time job from home and also homeschooling. So what I did was that in the summer, before my son started kindergarten, I started to implement small little tasks that I would do with him. And it wasn't easy. It was really hard, especially because during the summer is the busiest time for my job. So I was really concerned about how I was going to do this. And I just had to really think about whether this was possible or not. And it just came to a point where it was like, am I gonna put him in school or not? Because those were the only two options I had. And I decided, you know what? Let's do a trial run. It's kindergarten. Let me see how this is gonna work. And that's exactly what happened. And so here we are, first grade. We're still homeschooling. And honestly, it has been such a great experience so far. But let's get into what I had to learn, the routines that I use, and the schedule that I had to adjust to that works best for me. So during my trial run of homeschooling, I realized one thing, that me and my son both work the best in the morning. And honestly, the morning was my least busiest time at work. So that's when I decided how we're going to structure our day, starting in the morning. So then I came up with this scheduling system, and it's called a block scheduling system. And it's basically when you focus on one or two subjects a day. And this is what became the foundation of how I was going to structure our year. So we homeschool in the morning, and we focus on 1 to 2 subjects a day. And currently, we only do instructional homeschooling 4 days out the week. So that means on Fridays is usually the day we take off, and on Fridays we have like arts, or he can get on his tablet, or we are also part of an online community, so he can become part of that as well. And it's kind of super flexible on Friday. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we start our homeschooling day at 9 o'clock, and then we're done by like 11:30. And during that time, I'm still working my full-time job. I'm usually responding to emails. I might make a couple of phone calls, but that's basically what our day pretty much looks like. It's between 9 and 11:30. Sometimes it can go to 12 o'clock. Things always change. That's the gist of what our schedule looks like. Now that we have a set schedule where I know that I'm going to be teaching certain subjects on certain days, I had to come up with a specific routine. So in the morning, our routine is that I get up super early, sometimes 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I kind of start my day. I do what I need to do for myself, which is so important to really give back to yourself. That way you can be nourished for the day and you can pour on to your child, especially when you're juggling so many things at one time. So I will wake up, I will go for a walk, or I will work out, and that has been super helpful for me. A lot of times I'm even able to get in my breakfast and my coffee before he even wakes up, which is always a win. When he wakes up, he comes downstairs, I start making him breakfast, and then he comes and sits down at the table. And during that time, he starts his morning menu, which is usually just little simple tasks that I have him do independently while I am going through email and just checking my workload for the day. After he's doing his morning menu and eating his breakfast, we kind of jump into calendar time and we do a mini review of everything we learned either the day before or the week before. And then we kind of smooth into our homeschooling day. And usually that can be going right into math or right into reading. Either way, we do only 2 subjects a day. And with that, there comes a couple of breaks, and usually we're done before 12 o'clock. Now, this is our 2nd year of homeschooling, so there's a lot of things that I learned and a lot of things that I did last year that I continue to do this year. And so I have learned a couple of time-saving hacks that are so crucial and beneficial, especially when you're homeschooling while you're working a full-time job. And one of those is using a curriculum that comes with a teacher's guide. There's nothing as amazing as that, because it really takes the thinking and the guessing out of what you have to do next. Everything is already laid out for you. You can review the teacher's guide, obviously, to at least have an idea of what direction the curriculum is going in. But all you have to do is flip open the book, do a couple of lessons, and then put the book back down. And for me, that is just so beneficial because now I don't have to prepare as much for the next day. And the curriculum that we used last year was Christian Light Education. It's the only one we used for the entire school year. So this year we also went with Christian Light for certain subjects, but we also incorporated other curriculums, but all of them came with a teacher's guide, which I love. If you want to know exactly the curriculums that I use for 1st grade, I can link that video below. Another time-saving hack that I did last year that I also incorporated this year was independent activities. Whether that's having some type of puzzles and little books that they can do and having worksheets on hand already, it's the perfect thing, especially when you are trying to transition from one thing to the next. Like for us, I love to use those independent activities in the morning when he's trying to transition from just waking up into getting onto our homeschool routine. So in the morning, he can do his morning menu. Sometimes he'll do a puzzle, or he'll have some blocks he can play with and some STEM activities. And it's such a perfect way for them to just keep busy so you can do what you have to do while you're working, but also to keep their brain constantly activated. So that is one hack that I used last year that I continue to use this year. And the last time-saving hack is using those digital tools. When I tell you that AI has come in so handy for me this year, I love it, because this year I really wanted to get more hands-on instead of breaking my head on how to come up with certain things to incorporate more hands-on activities. I just go straight to ChatGPT. And when I tell you ChatGPT has been such a game changer for me this year, I love it. I use it to come up with certain worksheets. I use it to come up with certain lessons. If I want to incorporate other things into the lessons we already have, it's definitely a game changer. And also using apps. Lean on your apps. Lean on different educational apps, lean on YouTube videos. We constantly do that all the time. We have traditional curriculums that we use, and then we also use ChatGPT to give me ideas of how to come up with things that we can do that's more hands-on, like maybe incorporating baking or cooking or whatever it is. Sometimes I lean on AI tools to help me as well. So definitely use that as your personal teacher's assistant, because it's perfect. And one of the biggest things that I had to learn this year was changing my mindset. I think last year, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was going to YouTube, going to TikTok, and seeing all these perfectly curated homeschool rooms and just these women who were just killing it. I felt like I had to be something like that in order for my son to be successful, and it's just not true. The truth is that you have to be okay. Like, you have to set routines and schedules and rhythms that work best for you, because you're not only the teacher, but you're also mom and you're also taking care of the house. And so I had to understand that there's going to be days that other things are going to fall to the side, like the dishes or the laundry. And that's okay. As long as you're doing what you have to do for yourself, and also making sure that you are being present when you are homeschooling, I feel like you're going to be successful. Like, not every day is going to be a success. Not every day the curriculums, all lessons are going to be done. And I feel like ever since I started understanding that that's okay. It's okay if we did only one lesson today, or it's okay if we decided to just read a book and call it a day. We can always make that up. We can always adjust. And as long as you are happy, mom is happy, and the child is happy, I feel like that's really the most important. And some days you're going to need more than one break. Some days you're going to need multiple breaks. There have been times that we kind of stop the lesson short and go for a whole walk and just get outside. And both of us just get our bearings, because this is all new to both of us, to me and my son. I am a first generation homeschooling mom. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I kind of just adjust accordingly. And so that is the biggest mindset shift that I had to do. It's to stop comparing myself to other homeschooling moms, and also take a step back and look at what is going on. Look at what I'm doing, how I'm responding. Did our homeschooling day go not so much as planned, but was it beneficial for either of us? And sometimes you have to take a step back, and sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need a day off, 2 days off. Teachers take off in school too. So give yourself that grace, because it's not always easy, but it is worth it. So if you've been thinking about homeschooling, but you work a full-time job, or you want to homeschool and you also still want to work your job, just understand that it's 100% possible, but you're just gonna have to adjust, and you're just gonna have to remember that it's not gonna be perfect, but you can set a routine that is perfect for you and your family and your household. Even if you're just thinking about homeschooling and working a full-time job, that in itself is incredible. So give yourself some grace, mama. You are doing what you feel like is best for you and your child, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the biggest piece of advice I could give you is don't compare yourself to anyone, not even to me, not to anyone, because a lot of us are all out here trying, and some of us have days that don't always go as planned. I would say focus on progress and not perfection. Every day you're getting up and you're doing your best, and that is good enough. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you're thinking about homeschooling and also working a full-time job. I'm thinking about coming up with another video of like different full-time jobs that you can do from home. And then different things that you can also do to make money from home, because even though I do work a regular full-time job, I am also on my entrepreneur journey, and I am content creating. I have a blog, and I have a couple of things that I'm doing to also earn income. And if you're interested in something like that, please leave a comment below. And again, thank you for being here, and thank you for watching.